And good morning, Councillor Brockington in Champlain Room.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Steve Deloche.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
We will just wait for a couple more committee members before we get going here.
Chair, do we have quorum now?
Quorum is 5, so we're just at quorum. There's Councillor Menard. Morning, Sean.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Chair.
And there's Councillor Hill.
Good morning, Chair.
Are you okay there, Councillor Hill? Are you locked out?
No, we had some car issues on the street here, so I'm out and about.
All right. All right, we'll start in 1 minute. Morning, Tim Tierney.
Good morning, Chair. I'm sitting with a good guy here. We're in a cab headed to the airport. I'm not driving. And praying I can get out of New Brunswick.
Good stuff. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, well, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our Transit Committee meeting. This is meeting number 17 on Thursday, February 13th. Thank you for everyone joining us, mostly remotely here on this snowy day. Il est important de souligner que la ville d'Ottawa se trouve sur un territoire
Ottawa
non
was
cédé
built
de la
on
nation
unceded Anishinaabe Algonquin territory. The peoples of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation have lived on our territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land.
Anishinaabe people who lived and continue to live on this land. We recognize and honor the valuable contributions of the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. They and their ancestors have been stewards of this territory, caring for the land and waters that flow through it for generations. We have no regrets today, and I'll ask the committee coordinator, Eric, to do the roll call.
Councillor Brockington.
Here.
Councillor Carr.
Present.
Councillor Hill.
Present.
Councillor Leeper.
Here.
Councillor Lowe.
Here.
Councillor Menard.
I'm here.
Councillor Tierney.
Present.
Vice Chair Desroches.
Here.
Chair Gower.
Here.
You have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Steve Deloche, our new Vice Chair of the committee. Thank you, Steve, for stepping into that position. And good morning, Councillor Kavanaugh, who's also joining us this morning. And maybe there are others who I can't see on my screen right now. Are there any declarations of interest? Okay, I'm seeing none. Confirmation of minutes. We have the minutes from November 25th, 2024. Are the minutes carried?
Carried.
Carried. Thank you. We have, I'll just go through the consent agenda. We have our item 4.1, which is our regular OC Transpo update, which we have a presentation and 2 delegations. And there are a couple of reports. One is 5.1 status update transit committee inquiries and motions for the period ending January 31st, 2025. Can we carry that one? I need like a thumbs up or a carried. Thank you, Councillor Leeper. Carried. And then Councillor's item 6.1, attendance report, North American Forum for the International Association of Public Transit. That was submitted by Councillor Brockington. Is that received?
May I just say it was remarkably comprehensive. Thank you very much. A model for all of us. That's received.
Okay, received. Thank you, Councillor Brockington. Okay, so we will move to item 4.1. Welcome, Renee and your team. It's been a challenging morning with the weather this morning, and we appreciate that we're able to continue with today's Transit Commission and looking forward to the update this morning. Renee, over to you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président, et merci beaucoup de nous avoir
Thank you, Mr.
accordé
Chair, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to start at 10. So it's better for our users too.
Pleased to be here today. Before we get to today's updates, I wanted to take a moment to talk about today's snowstorm and transit service. Providing safe and reliable transit service for customers is our top priority. As you are aware, the forecast called for a lot of snow, strong winds, and limited visibility. As a result, we chose to implement a severe storm schedule for buses today. This is the first time a severe storm schedule has been implemented in the city since we introduced the plan in 2022. That speaks to the significance of a storm. What this means for customers today is bus service is following a reduced schedule to provide safer and more reliable service during the winter storm and to allow the entire network to recover more quickly. Most bus routes in the network are affected by these schedule adjustments. Many routes have reduced frequencies and modified trip times, and select routes are not running. Customers are strongly encouraged to use the travel planner, double-check the route before the travel, and expect delays. Many articulated buses have been replaced with 40-foot and double-decker buses to improve service reliability. So far, we are seeing good results with this strategy. Paratranspo is operating well with good vehicle availability. On the rail side, crews have worked all night and to continually remove snow from the track for the safety of our customers and employees due to the strong winds and blowing snow. Service started on lines 1, 2, and 4 with minor delays. Challenges have been frequent since the start of service with switches and keeping track infrastructure clear. We can expect there will be continuous challenges to service throughout the day. However, crews are mobilized across the entire O-Tran system and are addressing those issues as soon as they arise. Customers are encouraged to plan ahead, expect delays, and exercise increased caution while boarding and exiting at bus stop and station platforms. Throughout the day, we will communicate with customers through our regular communications channels. We expect regular service to resume tomorrow, and Once that decision is confirmed, we will inform council and customers. I want to thank all our dedicated staff members at OC Transpo who worked overnight and today to ensure our customers get where they need to go. We often forget people who work behind the scenes. This morning, I want to send my thanks to the OC Transpo team for their dedication and resilience during this winter weather event. They traveled through difficult conditions to be at work very early in order to ensure our operations would continue for transit customers. Thank you for your hard work and support. I would also like to take this moment to thank our colleagues in Public Works for their ongoing efforts to clear the road network so our buses can operate safely. Next slide, please. Now we'll start our regular updates. I would like to begin by providing an update on the transit app in Ottawa. In 2023, we introduced Transit, the recommended app for OC Transpo customers to plan their trips. The intention of introducing this app was to enhance the transit experience for customers, and I'm pleased to advise that it has proven to be very successful. Let me take you through some numbers. Last year, we had an average of 113,000 average users a month. That is 46% increase from 2023. OC Transpo riders used Transit's Go Future, our step-by-step navigator, over 2,600,000 times in 2024. That's a 184% increase for 2023. There were also more than 21 million trips planned in 2024, and more than 35,000 users have subscribed to receive transit notifications. I know it's a lot of numbers, but it's amazing. I'm also pleased to announce that on January 27, all payment readers were activated on Paratransport minibuses, providing the option for customers to tap their card themselves. Also, on January 22nd, our first new 6-meter minibus went into service. We will begin to receive the rest of the new minibuses this year. Our transit services leadership team has been hard at work. We recently welcomed a new director of engineering services, who I will introduce in a moment. We also came together to review our 5-year roadmap and confirm the projects and initiatives for 2025 on our work plan. We have accomplished a lot in the first years of our roadmap, and I have more work to do. I will talk more about this in a few minutes. As you know, February is Black History Month. This year, for the very first time, OC Transpo installed 3 murals on double-decker buses with a design that reflects the City of Ottawa's commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. The design was created in collaboration with Black History Ottawa and the city's African, Caribbean, and Black Employees Network. You will see a photo of one of the buses on the next slide. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see a photo of the new bus mural at Black History Ottawa's event held on February 1st at the National Arts Centre. This initiative is part of OC Transpo's commitment to reflecting the community we serve. I want to thank our staff who worked so hard to make this design a reality. Next slide, please. As I mentioned a few moments ago, OC Transpo has a new director of engineering services. I'm very pleased to introduce to you Marco Cuenque. Marco is a licensed professional engineer with more than 25 years of experience in rail and has strong connections in the industry. Marco started his career with Bombardier and quickly progressed through several leadership positions, including the Director of Mechanics and Technology Systems and the Chief of Innovation Engineering Systems on a global scale. He has also worked and collaborated with many leading transit stakeholders in Canada and across the world, including AECOM, Ricardo Rail, and Alstom. Marco is a proven leader, and we are very happy and fortunate to have him here in our team. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, OC Transport began its 5-year roadmap in 2023. The goal of the plan is to improve on how services, our assets, and our finances in order to offer our customers a better experience. We have made many achievements over the past 3 years, much more work ahead. I would like today to take a few minutes to talk about what we have accomplished and our priorities of the road ahead. Next slide, please. First, I want to talk about transparency and accountability. We recognize the need for improved transparency and accountability. At the beginning of this work 3 years ago, our management team adopted a measured, managed philosophy. This has helped us to define and track important performance indicators to make decisions that are based on objective data. We hosted orientation tours and stage 2 briefings for the new term of council to build more open relationships with councillors. After launching the 5-year roadmap to build on our vision and guide our work, we followed in 2024 with the first annual update and a scorecard with key performance indicators for each initiative. I look forward to providing the Transit Committee with a roadmap update and scorecard this year. That should be in April. As we have worked to be more transparent and accountable, we have also put a focus on communicating frequently and proactively with council, the media, and customers. We were pleased to bring fulsome updates on the Stage 2 project to the Light Rail Subcommittee and look forward to continuing to provide the Transit Committee with the same level of information. OC Transport responded quickly to the LRT public inquiry that led to the development of a whole of city action plan, which was implemented and formally closed. And we used presentation like, like this one to provide regular updates on KPIs and help explain the complexity of transit operations. Apologies for that. This important information sharing will continue, and I'm pleased to have members of my team here today to walk you through our latest KPIs. Next slide, please. Let's focus a little bit on customer. Over the past few years, I don't know if it's me, I have some challenges here. Okay, I'm good now. I don't know what happened. Sorry for that. OC Transport has worked hard to fine-tune our operations with the goal of delivering reliable and quality service to our customers. One of these initiatives includes meeting and holding information sessions with the Transit Advisory Working Group. So far, there have been 3 formal meetings and 2 information sessions. Our team looks forward to continuing the discussion with the Advisory Working Group. To give customers more options to pay their fare, we introduced modern payment systems through payment and fare capping. Paratransport customers have benefited from the launch of My Paratransport, and as I mentioned earlier, we are adding new Paratransport minibuses to our fleet throughout this year. We also created Paratransport Talk and help sessions with customers. There is actually a virtual session being held this evening. As you heard earlier, we connected with Transit Hub and have leveraged they help to introduce multiple real-time information improvements for customers. We are interested in hearing from customers, and their experience informs our planning. The route review consultations offered an opportunity to meet with customers, counselors, and stakeholders to hear their needs. We have also introduced regular customer surveys to inform our plans and track our progress. And finally, we improved our communications to customers when we experience service interruptions. Next slide, please. Let's move now to the reliability. As I have told this committee previously, improving service reliability is a product of making improvements in 3 areas: recruitment, bus maintenance, and the network realignment. Over the past 3 years, we have devoted much effort to all 3 of these. We established a centralized recruitment team to coordinate large-scale strategic recruitment campaigns, which included hiring more than 800 new bus operators. We completed a detailed route review that resulted in the new Ways to Bus network, which we look forward to implementing this April. And we developed a bus maintenance action plan with a goal to achieve 99.5% service delivery. Our work on service reliability has not stopped there. Year over year, we have made improvements in the reliability of our Line 1 rail services, reaching 98.8% service delivery in 2024 compared to 95.3% in 2022. We created a dedicated engineering service team led first by Richard Holder and now by Marco. This team's mandate includes increasing oversight and focus on technical and maintenance solutions for bus and rail service. We also launched our zero-emission bus program to address Council's direction to transform our bus fleet to sustainable fuels. We operated a robust and transparent trial running process on lines 2 and 4, which is service delivery for 99.5%. We then achieved substantial completion and revenue service on our train lines 2 and 4 by maintaining a good collaboration with the contractor for the benefit of our customers. We also set high standards and goals for important quality of service KPIs, punctuality, and reliability. At the end of this road, Ottawa will be compared to the best transit systems around the world. Next slide, please. The road ahead for transit in Ottawa is exciting. We have led the groundwork for an important transformation of our service, and we look forward to continuing to make advancements. Some of the work ahead of us includes continuing to build on the best practices of the phased opening of lines 2 and 4, launching new Ways to Bus this April, which will align with customer travel patterns and connect lines 2 and 4. Ongoing construction at our facilities to replace our aging conventional fleet with phase 1 zero-emission buses, and planning phase 2 of procurement to completely transform our bus fleet. Replacing our aging paratransport fleet with new minibuses. Introducing new customer information improvements inside buses, at bus stops and stations, and online. It's expanding the O-Train East and West with the Stage 2 project. Continuing with the bus maintenance action plan to improve vehicle availability to increase our bus service reliability. And finally, we will be working collaboratively this year with 2 major transit unions on collective bargaining. As you can see, we have been very busy since 2022, and we have so much more in store for our transit system. I want to thank my incredible team members and all the staff at OC Transport for their hard work and dedication. We would not be here today without them. Thank you to the Transit Committee members and Chair Gower for the good governance, direction, and support to keep Ottawa moving. With that, I will now hand the presentation over to Troy. Merci beaucoup.
All right, thank you very much. Merci, Madame Amilcar. I'd now like to provide some of the updates on O-Train's line 1, 2, and 4. So it's great to be able to use the term plural, that we have multiple lines in service now. So thank you very much. Go to next slide, please. You may recall in August of this past year that line 1 service outside of peak periods was adjusted to more accurately reflect ridership. As a result, train frequencies for the midday, evening, and weekend time periods were adjusted. Staff have and continue to monitor customer volumes and confirm that there is more than sufficient capacity to accommodate current customer volumes as well as for future ridership growth. Additionally, the results of our field observations, supported through the Transit Operations Control Center and use of the CCTV cameras, confirm that post the service change, ridership projections are very close to the actuals that are being observed, with 58% of capacity used during peak periods and 67% of capacity used during the off-peak periods. While customer volumes on line 1 can be considered light outside the peak periods, customer volumes can be considered heavier than usual when following a temporary service disruption, and that has occurred. In all cases following a short disruption, the system quickly recovers and customer volumes on trains return to normal. Based on the current observations, the service frequency is appropriate to meet customer demand, as trains have sufficient capacity to service all customers upon arrival at any station along the rail line. We will continue to monitor the system, and if there are any new trends identified, train frequencies can be adjusted within our operating constraints to ensure that sufficient capacity is provided to meet customer demand. Next slide, please. I'll now turn to line 2, lines 2 and 4. So, dans les deux prochains diapositives, nous souhaitons partager.
In the next slide, we're going to show you 4 pictures of line 2 and 4 that took place on January 6th. Our department and our clients lived through a historic day. This represented years of relentless work, hundreds of hours of training, exercises, and more than 100 operational procedures. This was done with our city partners also. When the first train arrived at the station at Bayview, during a cold January morning, it was extraordinary to see all the clients waiting to get onto the train. We saw very happy clients to get into that new train and to visit all the stations. We also realize that people will use it on a daily basis.
The rail operations team and all of OC Transport was ecstatic to be able to finally demonstrate that the city and OC Transport were ready to relaunch the expanded service and get back to providing a safe, reliable, and customer-focused rail service that people had come to expect prior to the commencement of the construction activities. It was an amazing experience to not only see all the smiles and enthusiasm from our customers, but also the pride in launching the service with our rail operators, supervisors, as well as our controllers. Next slide, please. Since welcoming customers on January 6th, the system has been performing well. As we previously discussed, launching the service in the winter was not ideal, and this morning's extreme weather challenged the TNX and OC Transport teams, which has led to some service impacts. TNX fully mobilized snow clearing teams overnight and continue to fight the challenging conditions. Overall, while we've had some challenges this morning, we are very proud of how well the service has been running and encouraged by the positive feedback. We are in a good position. We've had a good, strong start to service in challenging weather conditions, and this is an excellent foundation that will serve us well as we progress through the remainder of the winter and as we prepare for the spring and summer event seasons. Next slide, please. So getting into some of the numbers. Since launch, our team has been monitoring ridership trends as well as the overall performance of lines 2 and 4. In the first 4 weeks of operations, we've seen over 300,000 customer trips. As well, there has been a 69% increase in vehicle parking at the park and ride lots along line 2, with an average of 674 vehicles parked per weekday. Importantly, though, the park and ride lots still have ample capacity, allowing us to accommodate even more vehicles as ridership continues to grow. As anticipated, the top 3 busiest stations on lines 2 and 4 are Bayview, Carleton, and South Keys. And as I stated, that service has been running well, and pleased to report that the service delivery for the first month of operations across both lines has been 98.5%. On January 25th, we continued our phased launch and successfully expanded the service to 6 days a week. We are carefully evaluating all system elements of the phased opening and are taking a focused, systematic approach during this soft launch period. Next slide, please. At this time, there's still some work to do before moving to the 7-day phase of the opening. Some of the work includes updates to the passenger information display system at stations and on trains. This work is in progress, and a number of tests and field exercises are planned to occur shortly. Having Sundays available allows us the opportunity to conduct these additional tests without impacting customers. TNX is also leveraging the time and working to resolve a number of minor deficiencies that are not affecting service, but require rectification. And this includes items such as some damaged glass at stations and shelters, graffiti removal that occurred during the construction period, as well as a number of adjustments to station doors in order to prevent false alarm activations. TNX is also proactively conducting a number of inspections and exercises involving the mobilization of equipment at stations and along the guideway. So one of the exercises involved using a mobile generator to go from station to station, and they would use this mobile generator in the event of a power loss affecting a station. As well, track inspections, environmental noise and vibration testing, as well as some track geometry testing are also all being conducted to leverage this time. Throughout this 6-day phase, we've also worked closely with other key stakeholders such as the NRC and the Ottawa Hospital, who are leveraging this time to advance their respective initiatives without impacting our customers. And then lastly, it is also during this phase that is allowing us, OC Transpo, to further stabilize our workforce while we prioritize the ongoing training and development of our diesel rail operators and our support staff. So I'll now pass things over to Sabrina, who will provide additional details on our training of our diesel rail operators. Merci.
Merci, Troy. Comme chef de la sécurité pour la direction
As
des
head of safety, it's a pleasure for me to present you an update on training for the Trillium Line.
As the Chief Safety Officer for Transit Services, I'm pleased to be here this morning to present to you the updates regarding our diesel rail operator training and staffing. So to date, 103 DROs, diesel rail operators, have started in our training program. Of those 103, 18 of them have opted to return to their bus operator positions. So these are trainees who did not complete the training program and who voluntarily resigned from training. The reasons can vary from either finding the training overly challenging or realizing simply this wasn't something they wished to pursue and they opted to return to the bus side of things. As a reminder, all of the diesel rail operators are drawn exclusively from the bus operator pool and do retain that right to go back to the bus operations while they're still in the training program. 10 of the diesel rail operators who had started training and completed that training have since been promoted to other positions within OC Transpo. So these operators completed the training, but have since been promoted to promotional opportunities in rail, such as rail supervisors, rail superintendents, and rail controllers. The overall success rate for the Trillium Line training program is currently at 97%. As of today, we have 20 trainees who are actively in the training program, and their certifications are in progress. Currently, to date, we have a total of 53 diesel rail operators who have been certified, who are currently providing service on lines 2 and 4. We're working towards reaching the minimum number of 66 certified diesel rail operators required to operate 7-day service. Our ultimate target for DRO staffing is 76 DROs, which would make up the full complement of the operators. This would allow for increased flexibility, plan for attrition, and adequate allotment of spares. To put these numbers into context, I want to provide some additional details about our diesel rail operator training program. Le programme de formation des chauffeurs de la ligne Trillium suit un curriculum.
Our training program is on happens on a period of 14 weeks, and we are adapting to the different learning styles. They have theory and practices at the same time.
Follows an intensive 14-week program, which adheres to adult learning and adult education design curriculum, combining theory, practical, and hands-on learning for all learning styles. The training is divided into the following elements: 6 weeks of classroom training. That includes training on the rules, regulations, railway safety, and model rail and simulator training. The passing requirement for the in-class is 80% for operators and supervisors. This is followed by 2 weeks of familiarization both in the yard and on the vehicle. This includes yard practices, hand signaling, switch manipulation, vehicle equipment checklists, and train handling and radio procedures, just to name a few of the topics that are covered during that time. This is then followed by approximately 6 weeks of on-the-job training, or OJT training. That's a minimum of 150 hours, which includes 60 hours of OJT on-the-job training for each vehicle type, so both the Flirt and the Lint, on the main line, and then in addition to another 30 hours of on-the-job training in the simulator. These 14 weeks are then followed by an 8-hour final assessment and a minimum of another 40 hours spent with a qualified mentor. The training program is very comprehensive, and in order to properly complete all the aspects and elements of the required training and testing, it takes time, and we need to ensure safe operations and the quality of the training. It cannot be rushed. It's important to take into account the training is delivered based on a variety of factors, including the availability of both the instructors and resources required to complete the training program. As part of the lessons learned from stage 1 and the public inquiry, training must be delivered essentially at the end of the project, once the infrastructure is largely been completed. As a result, many aspects of the training are contingent on completed infrastructure, vehicles, the signaling systems, and therefore the training could only be completed once all those systems were in place in 2024. This was to avoid the large amount of retraining that we had to undertake for staff in stage 1. So we adopted that lesson learned here for the Trillium line. Since we're in revenue service now, delivering training is even more complex, as we're limited to a number of hours during the day and trains that can be used for training and certification on a daily basis. So these are all factors that affect our capacity for training delivery. Training remains ongoing to reach our ultimate staffing target, and we will continue training in perpetuity. Next slide, please. That concludes the updates on lines 1, 2, and 4, and I'd like to shift gears now to review our performance indicators for transit services. I will begin this part of the presentation by presenting our safety metrics before handing it over to my colleagues. Next slide, please. Given that this is the first committee meeting of the year, I'm happy to share how we intend to present safety metrics going forward. We will be continuing to report the key performance indicators as outlined in our safety management system. However, since 2024, we have onboarded a new safety and security data and business analyst, and we've made improvements to the way we compile and analyze data to support safety data-driven decision-making, as outlined in our Transit 5-year roadmap. I'd like to thank my team for putting together this great presentation today. Next slide, please. Alors, voici notre nouveau format.
So this is our new format. These is the data concerning safety. So these are all the data for the 2024 year
that we intend to use on a go-forward basis for security and safety. On the next 2 slides, we're showing the compilation of the 2024 data by quarter and by year. Note that 2023 data is in the darker shade of blue, and the 2024 data is in that lighter shade of blue. All the data that I'm presenting to you today is current and up to date till the end of 2024. So on this slide, we'll start by looking at the employee occurrences. So I'll bring your attention to the top of the slide, the first graph. This is showing our employee occurrences, for which I'm very happy to report that we saw a 6.7, so almost a 7% decrease compared to last year's. So the total number of employee occurrences for 2024 was down to 771, compared to 826 in the year of 2023. The top 3 employee occurrence types we observed in 2024 were stressful events, being struck or caught, and assaults. The second part of the slide is speeding infractions. So the bar graph at the bottom shows the speeding infractions over the two years, pardon me. So it is evident in this data that we continue to see an increase. We really started to see an increase in speeding infractions in Q3 2023 and really going forward. This is largely attributed to the increased prevalence of automated speed enforcement cameras across the city and across our transit network. So we can see that the year-over-year increase from 87 to 130 infractions is approximately a 49% increase. So it's not to be taken lightly. Our team, especially our safety team, is working very closely to monitor this trend. We're working in collaboration with our bus operations team, and we're positioning our safety and communication campaigns accordingly to help reduce the speeding that we're seeing throughout the network. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we'll start with the customer injuries. So at the top of the slide, the customer injury rate is being presented. So here again, we're seeing some notable improvements from last year, which we're really happy to report. The customer injury rate for the year 2024 is now at 0.56 per 1 million customer trips. This well exceeds our SMS target of 1.036, which is great to see. Overall, this represents a 47% decrease since this time last year in our customer injuries. We're pleased to see that the initiatives that we put in place over the last few years have had a really positive effect on our customer injury rate. The top 3 factors we saw relating to customer injuries in 2024 were bus in motion, braking, and disembarking. And those top 3 factors have been really consistent over the last few years of reporting. The last part of the slide is regarding our preventable collisions. We ended 2024 with a preventable collision rate of 1.14 per 100,000 kilometers traveled. So this is above our SMS target, which is 0.69 per 100 kilometers traveled. The line graph shows a really similar trajectory for preventable collisions, both in the year 2023, with a noticeable increase towards the last 2 quarters of the year. That's typically when we see an increase in collisions. So to address this continued trend with preventable collisions, my team has implemented a number of safety and training programs, including the Geotab speed monitoring program, in-field observations for our safety observation program and safety blitzes, historical collision reviews and enhanced safety and data analysis, and winter driving training refreshers. So as the year progresses, of course, we're going to keep an eye on the trends and we'll continue to present the 2025 data at subsequent committee meetings. This concludes my portion of the presentation, and I'm happy to pass things over to my colleague, François.
Merci beaucoup, Sabrina. Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. Before we dive into our regular update, we wanted to provide a quick overview of our key performance indicators for 2024. So starting on the left of the page with ridership, for bus and O-train ridership for all of 2024, we saw 67.9 million customer trips. That's a 7% increase compared to 2023. For Paratranspo, we similarly saw a significant increase in ridership with a total of just shy of about 857,000 customer trips in 2024. That's 14% more ridership on Paratranspo year over year. Moving on to service delivery for conventional bus, service delivery was 98% for the entire year compared to 97.8% in 2023. So trending upwards in terms of bus service delivery as well. For O-Train Line 1, I believe Troy's already mentioned, or Renee's already mentioned as well, that we saw a very good results with 98.8% service delivery for the entire year, compared to 97.1% in 2023. In terms of bus regularity, that's our measure of on-time performance for our frequent bus service, it was 82% overall in 2024, just 3% shy of our target of 85%, and the same as in 2023. For bus punctuality, then, our measure of on-time performance for less frequent bus service, the result was 74% for the year as a whole in 2024, again, the same as in 2023. And last but not least, the on-time performance for Paratranspo minibuses and contracted taxis was 93% in 2024, again, the same as in 2023. So I'd like to highlight the fact that for all of these indicators, we've either seen an improvement or seen a stability in the result year over year. Next slide, please. So we'll start our regular KPIs here with a somewhat new indicator here in terms of customer attitudes. So as we mentioned in previous updates, OC Transpo, we use a variety of survey tools to learn and receive feedback from our customers. One of these tools is called Rate My Ride, and Rate My Ride is a survey that's built into the trip planning app, Transit app, which we've talked about at the start of this update today. Customers who use Transit app's Go function are periodically asked to complete surveys during their trip, and you may have had this experience yourself. This is an opt-in survey. It's available to customers who are riding our service only, and we typically receive hundreds of thousands of responses per month, more than 200,000 per month in a typical month. One of the many questions that are asked of riders is just simply, how was your trip? And the options provided in terms of answers are great, good, neutral, not great, or nightmare as a response. So here what we've shown on the page is the percentage of riders that said that their trip was either great or good, which we've combined into the category of happy riders. We can see that over the past year, the percentages remained relatively steady between 80 to 90% of customers saying that their trip was either great or good. The average over the past 12 months has been 88%, with some small reductions in fall of last year, 2024. Next slide, please. Nous passons maintenant aux indicateurs pour le service paratranspo.
Let's go to the paratranspo KPIs. So when we're talking about waiting time, there's an increase in November and December 2024, going from 2 minutes 10 at about 30 minutes in December. For January 2025, the waiting time went down and stabilized at 22.6 seconds. The increase of the wait time is because we have more clients using paratranspo services. We are receiving a lot of calls. The volume has also increased, especially when we have reliability issues with the paratranspo fleet. We were able to stabilize the reliability. We were able to also help more clients to proceed to online booking. Even people are using the online system. We see that the wait time for telephone booking online over the last year is about 7 minutes. Our target is 15 minutes or less.
The second chart here on the page, in the middle of the page, shows the percentage of paratranspo reservations or bookings that were completed online. So starting last fall, we can observe that important increases in this percentage have been measured, following sustained efforts to help and encourage paratranspo customers to book their trips online. As we can see, this percentage has doubled year over year, going from 21% of trips in January 2024 to 40% of trips in January 2025. This increase in the number of customers booking their trip online certainly is helping reduce the average call wait times, which we see at the top of the page. Lastly, the third section on the slide here shows the rate of paratranspo-related complaints by month and by category. The rate of complaints in January 2025 was 1.5 complaints per 1,000 paratranspo customer trip. That's a slight decrease year over year compared to 2023 when it was, 2024, when it was 1.6. The average over the past 12 months, as you can see on the left side, is 2.2 complaints per 1,000 customer trips and is trending just slightly downwards. Next slide, please. So here we're looking at ridership starting with conventional bus and O-train ridership. So for the months of December 2024, the most recent results we have available today, ridership was 5.6 million customer trips. It's a small decrease of just under 3% when compared to the same month in 2023, and the first year-over-year decrease for an individual month that we've seen since the pandemic. For the 12-month period, ending in December 2024, total ridership, as I've mentioned in previous slides, was 67.9 million, 0.2% lower, so about just the same as for the preceding 12-month period, but 7% more than for the same period a year ago, so 7% more than in 2023.
Since our last update, ridership has increased a lot and surpassed our expectations. In December, our clients used, we had 67,000 rides. It's 0.3% higher than the previous month and 14% higher than the previous year.
Now, move on to our measures of on-time performance for both conventional bus and paratransport service. So working from the top of the page down, we can see that regularity for our more frequent routes, shown here in the blue line, was 82% in January 2025, the same as in 2024. Punctuality, our measure for less frequent routes, was 76% in January 2025, also the same as in 2024. In both cases, we can see we see the trend over the past year that we've seen steady improvements from the low of September 2024 back to similar levels year over year this past January. Looking at the left side of the page, we see the 12-month average regularity for the period ending in January 2025 was 82%. It's 3% lower than our target and the same as the previous month. And for punctuality, again, for our less frequent service, the result was 74%, 11% lower than our target, and again, holding steady from the previous period. You'll see a new addition to this slide here in the middle of the page. We've added an indicator of our less frequent bus service showing the percentage of trips that arrived more than 1 minute early. For the most recent 12-month period, 9% of trips arrived early. It's highlighted, we highlight this here, as early arriving buses are more easily within OC Transport's control. And if these early buses can be shifted slightly to move on time performance would be just shy of our target of 85%. Lastly, moving on to paratransport on-time performance, the overall average is shown with this solid orange line, as in previous presentations, while the in-house minibus trips are shown in the black dotted line. That's the one that is generally on above. And taxi trips and their performance is shown in the black dashed line. We can see that generally all three services have really similar on-time performance and follow each other, but with our in-house service typically a little bit more on time than our contracted taxi service. In January, 94% of customers were picked up within their 30-minute window. That's the same as in 2024. Next slide, please. Finalement, on peut voir nos résultats pour la livraison de service.
Now let's go to service delivery. On line 1, on average, it was 98.4% in January 2024, 0.6% lower than target, 0.1% higher than the previous month. In January 2025, the average service delivery reached 98.5%. It's an increase of 0.5% compared to the previous month, when it was at 98.4%.
Of line 2 and 4 operations, service delivery, as Troy's mentioned, was 98.5%, just 1% lower than our target. So that's in the rectangle in the middle of the page here. And line 2 and 4 performance will be added to the chart once we get multiple months worth of data. For the service delivery of our conventional bus service in January 2025, it was 98%. That was delivered as planned. This is 0.8% higher than for the same month in 2024, where it was 97.2%. So some good year-over-year increases here in January. For the 12-month period ending in January 2025, the average service delivery was 98.1%. Again, that's 1.4% lower than our target, but a little bit higher than the previous month. Next slide, please. So finally here, I'll provide a few additional details regarding bus service delivery. So as I mentioned, in January, 98% of our bus service was delivered as planned. That's shown in the large green column on the left. The chart in the middle of the page here provides a breakdown of the reasons that service was not delivered. So starting from the bottom of that middle chart, we can see that 0.8% of all of our service was not delivered due to on-street service adjustments. That's shown in blue. This includes adjustments due to general traffic delays and construction detours, those sorts of things. Now, 0.6% of all of our bus service was not delivered due to operator availability. That's shown in orange. Finally, 0.4% and 0.3% of all service was not delivered due to bus availability and mechanical breakdowns, shown in gray and yellow, respectively. And on the right side of the page here, we can see the 3 routes which had the most undelivered trips in the month of January. And these are in order: Route 6, Route 11, and Route B2 or Route 2 rail replacement service. Now, thank you. I'll now hand it over to Remy. Thank you.
Thank you, François. Next slide, please. Good morning. Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, j'aimerais vous donner une mise à jour.
I would like to provide you with an update on what we're doing with our bus fleet update. Like we said in October, reliability is going down. Many are aging.
As the buses continue to age, we see a notable increase in defects and major structural work identified during our preventative maintenance inspections. This added workload drastically impacts our ability to provide the required number of buses, including the availability to put our spare buses to meet daily service requirements on a consistent basis. So, for example, on certain days where we are experiencing tougher weather conditions or traffic congestions, we are limited to the resources available to support regular service, which directly impacts our service reliability. It's also important to note that these problems are also affecting the current paratransport buses, where now the entire fleet has passed their expected lifespan. Next slide, please. We are currently mitigating the impacts of the situation to the best of our ability by finding opportunities to reduce the workload on our mechanics while improving the reliability of the fleet. For example, we recently completed our updated preventative maintenance regime as recommended by the Bus Maintenance Investigation Audit earlier in 2024 to streamline the preventative maintenance process and reduce the time required to complete a full inspection. We are also finalizing our retirement plans for the buses we intend to decommission as the new e-buses enter service. These buses will no longer receive any specialized servicing and will only receive service for safety critical items until they are decommissioned. These are some of the steps that we have taken effectively to pivot our existing resources to servicing the e-buses, as well as the newer and more reliable diesel buses in the fleet. With that in mind, we are incorporating our lessons learned with our engineering team to develop a predictive maintenance model to mitigate the effects of a situation like this in the future. This model will have us service buses and replace critical components at shorter intervals, reducing the likelihood of on-street failures and improving our service reliability. We are applying the same processes for paratransport fleet, including fully utilizing vendor capacity to deliver the best service we can. Next slide, please. This ongoing work is necessary to meeting our bus availability each day. However, these are still mitigations to the problem, and the overall solution is replacing these aging buses with upcoming deliveries of the electrical ones. We now have 11 electric buses, 8 of which are in service today, with 3 more in our garages finalizing the commissioning process. My colleague Dan will later update us on the full delivery schedule. We've also previously brought forward in October the need to purchase up to 50 diesel articulated buses, as a suitable zero-emission option is not yet available on the market. We will continue to provide updates to the committee on our progress. However, as of today, I can update you that we have exhausted our search for used buses for sale in Canada that meet our criteria, even when expanding the search for 40-foot buses, as most transit agencies across the country are facing similar challenges. We are now exploring international markets for used buses that would also meet our criteria with a few minor modifications to be compliant with Canadian specifications. We cannot take a risk that we will find enough used diesel buses that will meet our needs, so we are continuing to explore purchasing new diesel buses as well. We are using the Metrolinx Joint Procurement Initiative and are working with New Flyer Industries to procure 40 or more 60-foot diesel articulated buses. These buses would be delivered between Q4 2026 and Q1 2027. Next slide, please. On the screen in front of you, you will see the first of 6 of our new paratransport 6-meter vehicles. These minibuses will be our pilot of a smaller vehicle type, which is also in use in over a dozen Canadian municipalities. These vehicles will be better equipped to drive in tight driving locations and access to narrow pickup and drop-off areas. We are also expecting to receive 76 7-meter vehicles for a total of 82 paratransport minibuses. All of these vehicles have been designed with customer input and will contain 5 cameras, a microphone, and will have the O-payment reader mounted for easy access by customers, among other accessibility features. We're excited to receive these buses throughout 2025 and see them in service in the near future. Thank you for your time, and I'll now hand it over to my colleague Dan for an update on the ZEP program.
Thank you, Rami. Bonjour, je m'appelle Daniel Villeneuve et je suis le gestionnaire du programme des
I'm the
autobus non
responsible of the program, the electric program. I would like to give you an update.
Today, I will provide a brief update on the positive progress we continue to make towards transitioning our bus fleet from diesel to electric buses with a focus on the work and impacts in 2025. Next slide, please. In previous updates, we spoke about our successful pilot project, which showed that battery electric buses can successfully operate in our city. The 4 buses you see on the screen have been in service since early 2022 and have accumulated over 700,000 kilometers in service. Our fleet of electric buses is growing, as Rami indicated. We have 8 buses in service, 4 pilot buses, 4 new, 3 that are on property that should be in service by the end of next week, and we have 3 more in the commissioning process at the vendor's location in Ottawa. Building off the success of the pilot program, today I will focus on the work ahead of us in 2025 and the impact to our largest bus depot and operations at 1500 Saint Laurent. Next slide, please. A lot of work is required before we can onboard and operate additional battery electric buses in service. First, we start with infrastructure work in our garages. The work consists of replacing end-of-life infrastructure like underground plumbing, floor drains, concrete work, garage doors, upgrading sprinkler systems, structural reinforcements, painting, new LED lights, and more. Next slide, please. Once infrastructure work completed, we are ready to accommodate our electrical infrastructure. Electrical infrastructure to operate electric buses consists of items like new electrical rooms, step-down transformers, switchboards, battery power packs, pantographs that connect to the buses, and miles of conduits and wires to connect everything together. Next slide, please. Buses. As mentioned in previous ZEB program updates, we have procured buses from New Flyer Industries and Nova. The bus production process is a very detailed, complex, and lengthy process. It requires thousands of different parts, systems, subsystems, some mechanical, some electrical, that are all assembled by hand, or for the most part, at 2 different sites that all come together as a final product before it is delivered to Ottawa. Next slide, please. Testing and commissioning is best described in 3 phases. We test and commission the buses, which we have a third-party inspection at the plant before the bus is delivered to Ottawa. Once in Ottawa, our engineering team performs a pre-delivery inspection at the vendor's site, which includes testing all systems, performing on-road tests, charging tests, and many more before it is delivered to our site at OC Transpo. Once on site at Saint Laurent, final fit-up, inspections, IT equipment installed, and ready for service. We also have our electrical infrastructure commissioning and tests. All components, charger cabinets, dispensers, pantographs are tested individually. And the last step, as you can see in the picture on the left-hand side, is the bus to charger commissioning before the bus can be put into service. Next slide, please. In this slide, we are showing a breakdown of when we expect to receive the 40-foot electric buses from now until 2027. By early Q2 of this year, we are expecting to have 30 battery electric buses, 110 in early 2026, and our goal is to have 354 by the end of 2027. Next slide, please. On this slide, we are showing the overall program schedule at the highest level. The schedule is broken down by batches of buses and activities, infrastructure and electrical infrastructure required to achieve the 30 buses by early Q2 of this year, 80 buses by early 2026, 124 more in 2026, and 120 buses in 2027. You'll notice a red line on the screen This represents where we are in time today, with great work completed to date. However, the bulk of the work is to come in 2025, 2026, and 2027. Next slide, please. I will now touch on the infrastructure work and impacts at Saint Laurent, our biggest complex. This slide is an aerial view to give you an idea of the scope of work to support our growing fleet of electric buses. In the South Garage, we will have infrastructure and electrical infrastructure work to be completed. We will then follow into the North Garage to complete the similar renovations on infrastructure and electrical infrastructure. We have a new building, which we're calling on the screen the West Garage, over the existing bus parking. We have on-site substation, underground electrical duct banks, underground natural gas supplies, and underground services, water, storm, sanitary for our new garage. Next slide, please. At the beginning of this year, the ZEB program had little impact at the Saint Laurent complex, with only one work activity in construction, the electrical high voltage maintenance bay renovation. Next slide, please. In the last week of January, we started infrastructure work in the South Garage. Impact is minor. However, in anticipation of the additional construction, bus operation moved 10 articulated buses to the industrial bus garage in December. Next slide, please. In April, the ZEB program will take over additional spaces in the South Garage to start on the next phase of electrical infrastructure work, while infrastructure construction is ongoing. We will also begin work on the on-site substation and underground utilities. Next slide, please. In June, while construction continues in the South Garage and the on-site substation, the ZEB program will take over space in the North Garage to start additional infrastructure work. To accommodate additional construction, we are looking at relocating 150 buses to our other garages, either Industrial, Merivale, or Pinecrest in June. Next slide. In July, we start on the last section in the South Garage. Next slide. In December of this year, the South Garage is mostly completed and operating additional electric buses that are scheduled to arrive at the end of this year. And the ZEB program will take over the North Garage and the exterior parking for infrastructure work, electrical infrastructure, and the construction of the new parking garage. Thank you for your time, and we are happy to take questions now, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much to the entire team. There's a lot going on with OC Transpo, partly because it's been a couple of months since we've met, and we've had a major launch of Line 2 and continuing transition with the electric fleet. But thank you for the update. Really well done. We have two delegations, so we're going to go to delegations first before we go to any questions for staff. Both delegations are joining us on Zoom. And our first speaker is Sarah Dolan, and then we'll have Kyle Humphrey. So we'll just give a moment so Sarah can join us in the Zoom. Good morning, Sarah. Sarah, we can't hear you. It looks like you're unmuted. We still can't hear you.
Chair, if it helps, it might be a matter of connecting the Zoom client to the computer audio on the left-hand side, left-hand bottom side of the screen. And we might be able to also coordinate with the speaker to call in as another option if we wanted to move to the next speaker while we do that.
Okay, well, so let's try that. We'll go to Kyle, and Sarah, if you want to take a few minutes to try to reconnect, and the clerk's office can help as well. Want to make sure we get your audio issue resolved. So let's try to go to Kyle Humphrey if he's online.
Oh, he's online.
There's Kyle. Okay, I can hear you, Kyle. Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Good. Hope you're doing well.
Very well, thank you. I'd like to start off. Thank you for having me speak today. Congratulations on the 7-minute waiting time on Paratranspo call-in booking. And it's nice to see that the online is doing so well. I just have a couple of questions with regards to the delivery service when it comes to, or the delivery times when it comes to drop-offs. I see here that there's a low rate of late buses, which is nice. And I'm just wondering, is that based on pickup time or is that based on the full trip? Based on an hour and possibly an hour local and possibly 2 hours for cross trip or cross city trips, as it used to be back. And we're talking 7 years ago was the last time I heard anything on what the expected time of delivery was for a paratransport trip. So that's my first question that people can sort of think about. Second, I'm just wondering when it comes to the complaints, the chart here is a little bit hard to read based on service delivery versus service policy. The coloring is extremely similar, and I was just wondering which one was which, and what was being done with regards to answering people on those. And then sorry. There we go. You know what? That is everything I have for today. I'll get to things maybe next month.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. We'll go back to staff in a moment and get them to answer some of those questions on the charts they presented. Councillor Carr has a question for you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Chair. Appreciate it. Yeah, Kyle, I just wanted to confirm so that we can ask the right questions to staff, that your question is whether on-time para performance metrics is based on pick up or drop off within an hour of local, right? That's your question, is what is that metric based on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. I'm seeing no more questions, so stay tuned. We will get staff to clarify what they're tracking there. And thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, I'll be here.
Okay, we'll try to go back to Sarah. Sarah, not sure if you've had any luck resolving the audio issue. No? Okay. There is an option to call in, and our clerk's office can email you that information. And if we can get that connected, be happy to bring you back on in a few minutes so that we can hear your delegation today. So clerk's office will be in touch with you by email to figure that out. And sorry for the inconvenience here. Okay, so we will just shift to questions for staff. And why don't we start maybe with Kyle's question on clarifying the data, the KPIs that were presented on Paratranspo. Eric or the clerk's office, if we could bring up the slides, that would probably be helpful. I think it was around slide 23 or so. And we can get Francois to clarify both of the metrics that Kyle was asking about. There it is.
Thank you for the question, Chair.
Yes, there it is. Okay.
So since it's on the page here on the screen, I'll start with I believe the second question, which was in regards to the rate of complaints chart here at the bottom of the page. Agreed, I'll take that away in terms of the colors. My apologies for that in terms of the two very similar between service delivery and service policy. So service delivery is the bottom one on that stacked area chart. So the larger representing about close to half of complaints related to service delivery. Service policy is that thin blue, very similar blue, thin blue line at the top. So kind of the category with the least close to safety and security, but the one with the least number of complaints related to service policy. And I believe the second question was in regards to how or what the measure of on-time performance represents, and that's on slide 25. It is measured at the time of pickup. So it's a measure of what percentage of trips, so the percentage of customers that were picked up during that 30-minute window. So that's what this is measuring here. Yeah.
Okay, and for clarity, are there measurements or KPIs that you track in terms of the length of trip or time of trip? I think that's what Kyle was looking for clarity on as well.
I would look to our operations team or to our customer service team for that answer, not within my team.
Chair, maybe we can come back with the fulsome answer. But I can say we have a policy in place, and we can definitely send something about how we respect the policy.
Okay, so further follow-up. Thank you, Francois. Thank you, Renee. Okay, Councillor Leeper, I think, was first up.
Thank you very much, and I'll try to keep it brief. I see everyone's got their hands up this morning. Lots of thoughts about transit. The first, I will say, I took the bus in this morning. The 14 was on time. It only took maybe a couple minutes longer than you would expect. So, thank you very much to the team for great service this morning. The on-street service adjustments continue to be, if not the strong plurality, it could even be the majority of reasons for undelivered trips. Have new ways to bus, have the schedules been adjusted to account for those areas where we know we have congestion?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. The answer is yes, Councillor. And if you remember, we did this exercise at the end of 2023. So the updated time for trips was in 2023. And we know that last autumn, 2024, when the people, federal workers came back, we saw a huge increase, unfortunately, on the traffic. So that means the good work we did with the new ways to bus, and we remeasure all route times with the union. So probably we will need to recommence, but the time will be better than before, but it will not be great because the situation has changed. It's an evolving situation, as you know. The traffic will remain almost challenged, unfortunately, on transit, but at least with new ways to bus, we'll have new times. That should be a good thing, but we will need to continue to work on that.
I hope they're better. Now, is there room for nuance in the schedules to have a difference between, say, a Monday and a Wednesday?
I know that Matt is on the call. Maybe Matt, if you have the answer, if you don't have it, it's okay, and we can come back.
Well, presently, thank you for the question. So presently, there isn't room in the schedules to, make a difference between a Monday or a Wednesday, for example, service period. That's not possible at the moment.
Okay. I mean, I think the congested areas are still always congested. So Parkdale near my place is always going to be jam-packed. So hopefully it's relatively consistent. Operator availability. is one of the smaller reasons why services may be undelivered. Will that number always remain sort of the same? Because I know, Ms. Amilcar, you've said in past, you're now in control of the hiring. You have the operators you need, but we continue to see bus trips not delivered because of operator availability. Is that just going to be regular within the system, or do you expect that? Is there room for improvement?
Thank you, Chair. So the answer is this is something that we will need to deal with, because sometimes that could be because of the traffic. We have to give the CLC break, and it was not planned, and we will cut a service. So it's a good example. So it's based on the traffic, but it's based as well on the CLC break. But sometimes as well, unfortunately, the day after the Super Bowl, we saw a huge increase on our absenteeism. So those things are factual, and it's real. We have to say that. So we will need to deal with that. That said, the plan is to be able to, when we will be on control, it's not the case today, and that will not happen overnight, but the plan is when we have sufficient buses, we will be able to have buses with bus driver at some strategically spots, so we can deal with those problems more easily. It will be never zero, because that will cost too much, okay? But we can still improve it. But now we have to continue to work on our maintenance plan, as my colleague Rami presented. It's a challenging one with aging fleet. We saw that the garage complex, which is a huge garage, will become a very, very little garage, because we will need to proceed with the transformation that we have to do. So we'll have to deal with a lot of challenges. And frankly, when we will finish those things, and that's why we wanted to present today what is coming. So the light is very bright. What is coming is nice, but we will need to go there, right? And when the light will be bright, definitely we will be able to have those strategies in place to achieve our 99.5% of I presented a couple of years ago to you. And it's still our goal, but we still have to work. But I'm very encouraging by what I'm seeing.
The delivery of those ZEBs is going to be critical to it. May I just say the displays, if anyone has not had a chance to take a look at the new ZEBs that are being delivered, very impressive buses. Have been on 2105, 2115. They're really impressive buses. Maybe just one of the questions. You said there are 113,000 transit app users per month. Is that how are you measuring this? Is that 113,000 different people using the transit app every month?
Matt, can you help me on that one? Or maybe Rawa? I don't know if Rawa is on the call.
Can I pass that to Francois? Francois, do you have the information on that?
I'm expecting it to appear very soon. But my understanding is that it's 113 unique customers on average.
Okay. No, that's an impressive number. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. I'll leave it there.
Okay, Councillor Tierney.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I think we kept it under 100, but it was definitely over 80 slides, so good work. Tongue-in-cheek there. I did want to go through a quick couple of questions. I guess the first question is, when it comes to us trying to find the 60-foot buses, we know that we have a challenge on that. Forgive me if there was an update in there and I just missed it. Is there a status on the 60-foot articulated buses?
Abby?
Mr. Chair, yes. So we spoke about trying to find used 60-foot diesel buses first, and we unfortunately have not been successful at finding any in Canada that are available. We're trying international markets to see if there's something that would minimal intervention would meet our specification or Canadian specifications. However, at the same time, we're not leaving it to chance. We're trying to also procure 40 new buses, at least 40 new buses through New Flyer. So we're working with Metrolinx closely, and we're submitting our request shortly.
That was Metrolinx. Interesting. Okay. I guess the next question is, there was a slide, Remy, that talked about the buses, and there was a lot of numbers of buses. I'm actually learning a little bit here today on, I guess it's a bit of a DIY, like do-it-yourself assembly of buses. And I assume there's a whole reason why that takes place with electric versus, a conventional diesel bus. Can we pull that slide up? I just want to be sure how many buses we have currently, because from what I'm seeing in the next month, there should be 26 electric buses on the road. And I just want to know how many are on the road today, knowing there's only a month, like actually operational on the road today. There was a Gantt chart.
Yeah, Dan can answer to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's 7, but it will give you the full sum update.
Yeah, thanks for the question to you, Chair. So I think if we go back one slide.
Yep, perfect. That's the one.
So yes, that's the one. So out of the 26, 4 of those are currently in service. 3 are in our PDI 2, so our pre-delivery inspection number 2 process that should be in service mid next week. We have 3 more in Ottawa that are at the vendor's location that are going through our pre-delivery inspection number 1 with the vendor. 1 is on its way to Ottawa, and the remaining buses, for the most part, have all been, well, they're either in the production process at the New Flyer Nova facility, or they're out of the production process, just waiting for final, we'd say, fit up, final inspection and delivery to Ottawa. Out of this slide, the goal is to get them all by the end of Q1, but there are 4 stragglers, we'll call them, in early April from New Flyer. So we're tracking that closely, but as you can imagine, these buses have thousands of different parts. The manufacturers work with a just-in-time delivery, so if there's a delay in any parts from the manufacturer, it delays the buses. And as you can see on the screen, there's not only Ottawa in the production line, there's buses from TTC and many, many more.
Right. And, how are we going to be informed? And this is great. Please leave this slide up. Doing quick math in my head, I don't see how it's possible to even get 10 operational buses on the road by the end of March. You're saying there'll be 4 stragglers at 22. My calculations are different. So how will we be informed? Because you can see we can't get the 60 footers. That's a big, big issue. We have 3 tranches of them that are all well past the end of life. The concern is really there right now. So how are we going to be informed? And is it just a direction? And I'm looking maybe at the GM or yourself, Danielle. Can we get like a month by month memo update of how many electric buses are physically operational on the road?
Chair, I think I can put it on the intranet, if that works for you.
That's even better, the transparency and public. Yes. I love that.
Okay, great. We'll do that, Bart. It's okay for you?
Great.
Certainly, Renee, we can absolutely look at that.
Thank you. That's great, and that will help the public and ourselves. And then by way of memo, maybe the minutia, just if there is slippage for councillors and committee members, I think that's always really handy, explaining why. And that leads to my very next question, very simple one. Obviously, tariffs, cross-border issues. I know primarily a lot of the parts are based out of Canada. There could be a sensor with these things that might have to come from the United States. Is there any parts that are United States dependent that we could see, of course, another big delay on getting these electric buses out?
So I could take that one. So yes, the buses are produced by New Flyer Nova, which are in Canada, but a lot of the parts come from different countries. So yes, we're tracking that with the bus manufacturers. We're working with procurement and our legal team should anything come to fruition with the tariffs or delays or so on. And we work with the manufacturer. We have weekly meetings with the bus manufacturers. So we're working hand in hand to hopefully not see any delays and get the buses here as soon as possible.
Excellent. And, maybe in that update to counselors, if we could figure it, I won't ask for it now because you probably don't know the specific parts, but I think it's worth having a quick look at that because, again, I don't see how we're going to get 10 buses even on the road by the end of March. And it's just going to keep snowballing, pardon the pun, on the worst day ever. And I'm just very worried about that. So if we could make sure counselors know which parts would be sourced out of the States, because I truly believe this could be a massive issue, not only from a delivery point of view, but obviously, have we projected any tariffs that may be, well, I guess that's another question. Do we project, are we looking at this actively now about the possibility of tariffs for parts that have to come in? Increased costs.
Thanks for the question. From the ZEB program, it's on a risk registry. And like I mentioned before, we're working with the bus manufacturers, our supply team, and our legal team, should anything come to fruition on that. And on the 10 buses, we have the 4 pilot buses. We have 4 new ones that are currently in service. 3 should be in service by the end of next week, and there's 3 more in Ottawa. So there's actually 10 of those 26 are actually already in Ottawa. There should be no reason that they're not in service by the end of March.
I'll take that bet, but I do really want to focus again on the tariff aspect. I think in short order we have to know, is there going to be a massive increase in the cost of these buses that wasn't projected due to the tariffs? So if I can ask you to take that away, I wouldn't ask you to do that now, but I think it's very important. And last question is just actually exciting. The new Route 24, I know we are waiting for the East End to come online to start rolling things out, but I know the demand is there now to start connecting villages. And the last update I heard is it's going to be April for that rollout. Do we anticipate any changes on that? Because I've been building excitement on good news for busing and the new ways to bus for that new Route 24 in April. Do we see any changes in that? Is that something you have to go and check? I've been promoting it heavily.
Thank you, Chair. So new ways to bus will be implemented in April as planned.
That's great news. Okay, great. Well, good work and thanks to your team. Good luck in the snow today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Merci.
Thank you, Councillor. Safe travels. Councillor Carr.
Yes, thank you very much for that presentation and all of those updates. Really appreciate it. I have a bit of a list of questions, a couple different themes. First of all, it was great to hear the update on how many people are using the digital app. My question is it the same information that is provided in the app? Is it the same that is provided at the stations when you, is it the same feed that gives you the updates on when the buses are arriving? And I ask that because I've received concerns about a lack of synchronization between the screens, for example, at Herdman and the transit app. And I wondered if anyone can speak to that.
Can answer, is it you, Bart?
Unfortunately not, although we could certainly take that away if there's no one on the call who's able to answer that question.
Okay, thank you. My next set of questions have to do with paratranspo. First of all, it was great to see the performance metrics and see some improvements. I wondered if someone could just speak to the fact about the delivery or the delivery issues that happened in terms of bus trips at the end of 2024 and how that's been dealt with. I know that we've received memos that the issues have been resolved, but if someone can give me a quick update on that.
Yeah, I will ask Rami to answer to that question, please.
Thank you, Chair. The paratransport fleet, like the other aging fleets we have, are facing lots of defects and require longer inspections and work to be completed so that we ensure their safety and reliability for the customers. So this was just a backlog of work on the paratranspo fleet that led us to a point in December where we were a little short on resources, pardon me. And we made the decision to tackle the backlog so that we can be ready for the new year. Had we just left some of the backlog there, we would have been in a worse situation. So it was, to put it in a different way, it was a short-term pain for us to have a better reliability like we've seen in the last few weeks, where we have enough buses and vehicles to support service.
Thank you. And those new buses can't come fast enough for para. I think we all agree on that. Not great. The 7-meter buses then that are coming, they fit, I understand they have 10 seats as well as 3 wheelchair spots. Is that correct? And if that is correct, is it going to be an increased capacity from the existing paratranspo fleet in terms of internal seating?
Thank you, Chair. This is correct, but I would not say it's an increased capacity because we will need to pay attention on how long people will stay in the bus, right? So we could effectively bring 10 people, but we will not do that because we want to respect the direction that we have received many years, that we received from councillors to respect a certain maximum of time to be in the bus.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. The one thing that I have received feedback on with respect to para is that when you plan a trip on a conventional, use your trip planner for conventional, for para, you really only get the estimate of the pickup time. If it's ever possible to include on the website how long we should expect in terms of not just picking you up, but your entire trip for drop off as well. Is there any way that there could, a Q&A or whatever it could be on how long should I expect for drop off, how long my trip? Is that something that could be considered once we have the new fleet in?
Rami, I know that you probably know the answer. I will ask you to answer to that question. But one of the things, Councillor, that we are working on, and I think it was Councillor Kavanagh who has asked me to work on that, and Rawa will come in a few minutes in the call, and she will update us on that. We will have an app now that will allow us to call the customer 10 or 15 minutes before the bus arrives. So at least, we don't, the customers don't need to wait at the corner of the street and not knowing at what time the bus will come, etc. So this is great. And what we commit to customers is a maximum of time in the bus. It's hard for us to say, okay, that will take you 30 minutes because we don't know what will happen with the next passenger that we will need to board to inboard. Because sometimes, and I saw it myself. I went with one of our para customers. We were in the bus, and when the bus went to find the other customer, we spent 15 minutes to try to find the customer. So those 15 minutes, when you call for your ride, we don't expect that, right? We expect that the person will be at the stop on time, so we can accelerate the service. But unfortunately, those kind of things can happen. I mean, I don't know if you would like to add more.
Absolutely, thank you, Renee, and Chair. We have invested heavily in upgrading our technology for the paratranspo services. That's been work ongoing for multiple years, and it's been in different phases. What we're focusing on today is getting an application that can support what Councillor Carr was referring to, which is almost a self-serve full information application where customers can ask for a bus and get the availability and get an estimated trip. This is work in progress. The system we had could not take on the full functionality, so we're doing it in phases. But unfortunately, it does take time to implement. They're not as straightforward as we'd like them to be. But we have a team that's fully dedicated on delivering these type of initiatives.
Okay, great, thanks. And my last question on para is, I know that para always tries to do fit-ins when they can same day, even though we don't have same day booking. Is it possible to ever get statistics on how many fit-ins are requested and how many we've been able to accommodate?
Mr. Chair, yes, absolutely. We do have these records, and fit-ins, although technically they're not part of the service requirements for para, this is our commitment to our para customers that whenever we have any availabilities that we will try to have fit-ins. But I can definitely follow up with some stats. We're organize a report.
Okay, thank you. I do have pages and pages of questions. I'm going to let someone else go just because I'm trying to group them by themes. But one question on February 1st, we moved to having had a seniors needing to have a Presto card in order to pay their fare. Is that correct?
Can you say that again, please? Sorry.
I believe that on February 1st, we migrated to having seniors had to have a Presto card in order to get a senior's fare. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rawa is here. I think so. Rawa, est-ce que tu m'entends? Excellent.
Yes. Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry, to answer your question, the senior pass is only available on a Presto card.
So the senior's fare is it the senior's fare? You need to have a Presto card as well to pay that now as well?
Correct.
Okay. I wondered if anyone could speak to whether has there been any challenges with that at all since February 1st, or has it gone fairly smoothly?
I would have to defer to my colleague from customer service to speak to that transition.
Okay, that's fine. You can follow up with me. I just wondered about that. I'll let someone else go and get back online. Thank you.
Rawa, est-ce que tu peux, pendant que tu es là, expliquer quand est-ce qu'on va
Rawa?
avoir l'application pour les gens de paratranspo?
Can you explain what's going to happen with the app for Paratranspo client?
Yes.
Can you give us an update?
So to Renee's question about a mobile app and pre-trip notifications for para customers. So we currently have My Paratranspo Online, which is a website, and mobile-friendly web-based app in order to book your trips and track your trips. Notifications for that functionality are coming very soon. We hope this month. So customers will have, trip imminent, a trip coming in 15 minutes, vehicle arrived, and missed connection type of notifications, and those will be configurable. So we don't want to bombard customers with notifications they don't want. So via SMS or email or voice, you can sign up for those notifications. The mobile app itself, so it's basically the website functionality wrapped into a standalone mobile app that will be coming a little later because we need to do a fulsome upgrade of the Trapeze booking system. We have a very old version. We're migrating to a new cloud-based solution, and with that will come a great app with all of that functionality integrated. So first a wholesale upgrade and then a mobile app, but all of that functionality is available on a mobile-friendly web app today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lowe.
Thanks, Chair. Internet's been unstable the last few days, so hopefully questions have actually been covered, but I kind of want to share some positive feedback. Some of the positive feedback that I've received with line 2. It's without stealing the vice chair's thunder. A lot of my residents, especially the ones that go to Carleton, have been using line 2 on a fairly regular basis, and it's the feedback, aside from I think 1 or 2 delays over the past month and a bit, has been very positive. They like the trains. They like the heated facilities. They're anticipating, they're eagerly waiting for the bus connections to go to Limebank, so that they can sort of make their journey a little easier in 100% transit instead of getting dropped off right now. And it's interesting because the positive experience has shifted comments like, we got to scrap this stage 2, we got to stop LRT expansion. It's actually shifted it to, hey, will the Trillium line ever come to Barrhaven? That was an interesting shift in comments for me. So I think that speaks to the positive experience that's been going on there so far. So, I mean, I guess the one leftover question that I had would be there was a slide with a number of speeding infractions that I think Sabrina spoke to. Was the increase, there was a sharp increase in 2023 or 2024. I don't remember which year, but at some point, you had the first 2 quarters like this and then the second 2 quarters like that. Was that sort of at the same time as when a bunch of new cameras came online, or did more operators just start speeding, or like, was there an external factor that sort of led to that?
Thank you for the question, Chair. And the answer is yes, that is directly correlated with the city's program and expansion of the automated speed enforcement cameras that were expanded, not just obviously in the transit network, but throughout the city of Ottawa. So we noticed that increase kind of starting at the Q3 of 2023 and onward, as every year they've expanded the cameras.
Thanks for that. The other question I have would be it's related to the new ways to bus. When we did a lot of the route realignment exercises, conversations with residents, that was at a time when travel to and from the downtown truly had decreased. And now that we are sort of returning to a level, I won't even say close, but we've returned to a higher level of travel to and from the downtown. Are we anticipating sort of re-exploring some of those changes? There are some of those changes that I do like because it offers more connectivity with Line 2, but the reduction in, for example, the 270s has certainly become a point of contention. So just wondering if that's something we can look at going forward.
Thanks, Jeff, for the question. It's an ongoing process, I would say, Councillor. So definitely, Matt's team will continue to improve the service and will adapt to the new reality. And we are very excited to put new ways to bus in place and see how things will go, and will improve where we can and where it's needed.
Yeah, no, there's definitely anticipation for that new network because it offers better connections to the east there, to the Line 2. But certainly since that third day back in the office, there's been an increase in comments and concerns about the cancellation of some of the more commuter oriented services that at least I'm sure every suburb receives, but certainly in Barrhaven. So thank you for that. Thanks for the presentation, and that's it for me.
Okay, Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to staff for the presentation. Very appreciated. Madame Amical, you started by talking about the service today. You applauded staff for their attempts and efforts to keep buses and rail going, and I think that was well said and appreciated. You acknowledged the switch issues and challenges keeping the line free, which has caused some problems this morning with delivery. Can you just talk about what efforts your staff undertake overnight? I know freezing rain, you run trains to keep the line moving, but how can we avoid switch issues and line issues when we know snow is coming? Is there anything else you can do overnight with staff to ensure that we don't have these challenges that we experienced today?
Thank you very much, Chair, for the question. I will start and I will try to complete. Him and I, we spoke this morning a lot about that. And you're right, Councillor. We had staff during all night to remove snow. Unfortunately, the wind brought back the same snow. That's why it was a challenging one. And Troy, I will let you maybe explain better than me.
Great, thanks, Madame Amical. Yeah, so obviously everything across the line is considered critical infrastructure, but those switches and the switch heaters are the most key pieces from a service reliability piece. So they get a lot of attention during those overnight hours. And one of the discussion points that we always have with both maintainers on both lines now is, should we be running trains overnight, or should we be allowing you to be out there with your snow equipment and snow fighting? Because sometimes when you run trains, you're just getting in the way of them doing their opportunity to clear the snow. And so the focus last night, we didn't have a lot of snow, but the focus last night was just clearing out around those switches as much as possible and moving the snow literally is back as far as we can, and fighting those weather conditions throughout the night. Our control center as well, they're monitoring the switches and the switch heaters. And when there's not people working on the switches, we're exercising them, we're moving them back and forth, so that when we launch service, we feel confident that the switches will function as intended. So the main focus that we have overnight is said clearing that snow and getting it as clear as possible as we can, and then ensuring all the functionality of the switch heaters. On line 2, we've had some initial short disruptions with regards to some switch heaters there. What I would link the line 2 and line 4 switch heaters is there needs to be some fine tuning. What we're seeing right now is, depending on the weather conditions, we've had, as Madame Empire mentioned, we've had some blowing snow, and they're getting into certain points where that heater is just having a little bit of difficulty reaching the outer limits, the tips of the switch mechanism itself. So we're working with T-Next on that to look at what fine tuning we can do. Putting some heat trace in on maybe some of the, I'm getting a little technical on some of the rods that move the track back and forth. So we're working with T-Next on that. On line 1, where we've seen the challenges has been on the switch heaters that are occurring in, where on the the west end. Typically, those switch heaters are run very, very well. And if you recall, you go back a few years, we replaced all the switch heaters in the east end with gas powered, but we left the east end with the electric heaters. They work in most weather conditions. They haven't been a problem. But this morning, they posed some challenges with the amount of snow, the amount of blowing snow, and it's that wet, sticky snow. So, but we're going to do a detailed debrief with both our maintainers on the line. We've already identified a few actions that we, as I mentioned on line 2, that we could take. But we're going to be debriefing both and look at where we can try to improve. But in weather conditions like this, it is challenging. It is challenging to keep them clear. But we do take a lot of activities overnight to both with our maintainer and ourselves to try to ensure that things are ready to go for launch in the morning.
Excellent. Thank you. Very thorough answer, and I appreciate the ongoing attention to this. Madame Amical, in the presentation, slide 8, you talked about reliability. This is a key concern that I have. You reminded the commission this morning that you have a 3-pronged approach: recruitment, maintenance, and the route realignment that's coming April 1st. We've, I believe, been successful in your recruitment campaign and the maintenance campaign, and yet the data you've provided us today still shows flat progress on improving overall reliability. Your annual data is flat and the monthly data is flat. So do you believe that once the route review is implemented on April 1st, we'll see some significant improvements in the bus reliability?
Thank you for the question, Chair. So maybe before to answer directly to your question, the reason why it's flat, it's because we have the same schedule, right? It's the same network, the same schedule, and etc. So with new ways to bus, effectively, we have revisited everything, and we work with the union to have right time from A to B. Unfortunately, as I said, it was in 2023, and we will implement it in 2025, and we know what happened. So we will be better than 2023, but we are still room to improve. The second thing is with the reliability, we need to have buses, so I can put in place the strategy that I explained at the beginning of the question, to be able to deal with some issues. We will need to have buses with bus driver parked on certain areas so we can deal quickly with those kind of things to achieve our 99.5%. That said, the maintenance side, it's an ongoing thing. And we will need to continue to work on the maintenance with the aging buses. We know that 55% of our fleet is ready to be retired, and we will not retire them. So that it's a concern for sure. But the team is doing an amazing job to try to mitigate that. And we saw as well, and that's why it was important to have this meeting today, because I wanted to start the year by telling you the truth and see what will happen. As I said, the future is nice, but to go to the future, it will be a little bit challenging because Saint Laurent Garage, which is our biggest garage, will become the small garage. It's another challenge. We don't have a new garage. We will need to work with Pinecrest, Maryville, and Indy, so that will bring problems too. But are we better in shape to improve the service? Definitely, because we don't have to deal with the massive equipment anymore, even if I think it's consolidated, but that we will continue to see those kind of absentees, and we will need to deal with those, but those are normal. It's everywhere the same thing. The network definitely will be better. And as I said, we will need to continue to work with the maintenance department to improve the service, to deal with the aging fleet, to phase out the diesel buses and phase in the e-buses. And we'll continue to update the transit committee on those things. By doing so, we'll definitely be able to increase the punctuality and the regularity of our buses. Today, Francois presented 9% of our punctuality is bad because people are early. This is something we can react today. And Rami's team is aware. I will continue to work with the union. I will continue to work with the team. We need to address that. At least if we can improve that, that would be fantastic. We have 1 million reasons to be late, 0 reason to be earlier. So those are challenging things that we will need to work on. But yes, what we are doing, it's exactly the right thing to be able to have a better, reliable service.
Thank you for that. I note that when we meet next as a committee, we'll be 2 weeks away from the April 1st route review implementation. When does OC Transpo plan to mail out the prepared brochures about the Trillium lines 2 and 4? And will that contain as well information for the public about the pending changes to all the various bus routes?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. Let me see. The route review will be implemented on April 27. So we have a fulsome plan to present to this Transit Commission, and we have started very slowly our communication plan, but you will see in the coming days, weeks, we'll emphasize a lot. So we still have time, and we have started slowly as well to work on our the stops, the fly, and we need to remove the bag and announce that when one will be obsolete and the other one will start. So those things are coming.
So just to be clear, Madame Amical, the route review bus changes are now going into effect April 27th, not April 1st. Did I hear you correctly?
It has been that for months because we follow the scheduling. So the winter schedule will finish on April 28th, and the winter schedule will start on April 27th. It's finished on the day before. So yes, it's as planned.
Okay. You provided data on the first month of lines 2 and 4, which is great, slide 14. The passenger volumes, which is great. Thank you very much. Do you have data about line 4 in particular, the success of the airport run? Can anyone speak to passenger volumes on this spur line?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. So far, we see 900 people per day, which is fantastic.
Okay, that's good. Yep, 900. And my last question, Chair, is just the paratranspo deck, slide 23. I apologize if this was covered. There is a blip in the average wait time for paratranspo booking that went up in the autumn of 2024. The average throughout the whole year was about 2 to 3 minutes. Then it went up to 22. Could I just have a better understanding what happened in October, November, December?
Francois, can you say it again, please?
Yes, pleasure. Thank you for the question, Chair. In November through to December and in January, we had significant increases in the number of call volumes coming into the call center, not strictly just calls related to paratranspo booking, but just calls in general. And a reminder that the call takers or CSRs take calls for all matters, not just for paratranspo booking calls. Really the large increase in those months is first and foremost because of increased call volumes. But I think as Rami explained as well previously, we had issues with the reliability of the paratranspo fleet in December, and that kind of accentuated issues here where we had more customers calling in to ask about the status of their trip, that sort of thing. So that also contributed to that increase. And so in December, it peaked at just shy of 30 minutes on average. And we've seen kind of that start to decrease and we're bringing it back down in part due to the efforts that you can see in the middle of that page there, increasing the number of customers who are booking their trip online, which is certainly helping reduce call volumes and help reduce the average wait time.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thanks for that. Sorry, I just wanted to go back to the Trillium line real quick. Madame Amical, do you have an estimate on when some of the outstanding issues that's delaying opening the line 7 days a week will be? Do we have an estimate of when we can see Sunday service?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. Definitely before New Ways to Bus, and hopefully it will be before that.
I hope so as well. Thank you very much for the report today.
Merci.
Okay, Vice Chair Desroches.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, félicitations à toute l'équipe, René.
Oh, congratulations to your team, René, for all the work that was done for the launch.
Congratulations to the team. I also want to take an opportunity, Chair, to thank the members of the Light Rail Subcommittee for their work over the course of the first half of the term, specifically on the follow-up of all the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry, resetting the overall framework for transparency, not just with the progress of the project, both in the South and East and the West, but in particular on the testing and resetting the framework for soft launching the system, which we're working through and I think has been overall a success. And as Councillor Lowe noted, I have gotten some very good feedback from residents and some things we're working through. It is a new toy, so I know we're all discovering it, but I've been waiting 20 years, and it's nice to see it operating in the south of the city here. Anytime that I've been on it, I note that we have a lot of students on it, right, which is fantastic. I'm really interested in seeing the progress at our park and rides, both at Leitrim and at Beausville. Those traditionally across the city have been a real preferred mode for commuters in the south of the city, or in different parts of the suburban communities, because it provides them with the convenience. So I note from the stats today that we're seeing some good pickup on the park and rides. I'm curious when we will get data, the TAP data on who's taking the transit system. Again, it's great that we have many students going to Carleton. I hope they continue to do that. But whether we have 10 or 20, it doesn't affect our revenue. Whereas if we have full fare passengers that are going to work maybe 3 days a week or what have you, those help us with the deficit that we're currently experiencing. So when would we be able to get some of that data on the profile of the passengers and whether we're seeing an increase in full fare passengers, which are going to be critical to again our finances? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chair. Merci beaucoup, Vice Chair, pour vos bons mots. C'est toujours très
Thank you,
apprécié.
Vice Chair, for your good words. It's always appreciated. I'll ask the team to answer your question, but I could say this. The replacement buses used to have 8,000 trips a day when it was buses. And since we have the lines 2 and 4, we have, on average, 15,000 trips. So we can see that is an increase in terms of volume, and we're very happy. I don't know if Matt or François could help me, or Gino.
A sense who's taking the lines 2 and 4 one day?
Yeah, definitely, Chair. That's definitely something we can pull together. We don't have it to hand right now, but it's information that's readily available to us through Presto analysis. So definitely something we can pull together for you.
Thank you so much. Merci, René. I had a question on when you go into these great stations, these beautiful stations, you see a lot of space, a lot of blank space. When will we see the advertising coming? And that advertising, again, is critical to helping us with our financial situation. And we should be not unlike any city in Canada or around the world where they have advertising in stations. We've got some great artwork, and I think that's a welcome addition. But there's a lot of empty space that I think would be a perfect fit for advertising. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chair. It's a good question because, with this ridership, we are very pleased because that will become an interesting stations, I would say, to put advertising. We have someone with us who's working with us on how we can improve autonomous revenue. And we have as well an inquiry from Councillor Brockington, and it will come back at the Transit Commission. I don't know exactly when, Bart. Maybe you can help me. It's your team who's working on that one. But we'll have some good news. Yes.
Yeah, Renee, I believe we're anticipating bringing back our non-fare strategy to this committee in June. But we're certainly working. We're not sitting on our laurels before then. Renee is absolutely correct. We have engaged a third-party consultant to do some peer reviews and try to figure out what a good strategy for Ottawa looks like, given our place in the marketplace. We've also had some very good meetings with our advertising partner, Pattison, who is looking very closely at what can be achieved in the Stage 2 station. So yeah, it's certainly something that we're looking at. And Renee is quite right to suggest that we're taking the direction given by Council to increase advertising revenues by, I believe it's 10% this year and 10% next year, very seriously.
Great. I look forward to that. Thank you. Like I said, a lot of spaces at the station. I look at Bowesville in particular, and there's billboard opportunities on those huge lots. So let's keep the momentum going. I think it's critical. And I was pleased to hear, that the airport link is doing okay. Those numbers are decent. I think we always had good service, I think, with the 97, but this is a newer option for folks. And I think we should go head-to-head on advertising and telling residents that they can avoid high parking fees at the airport if they use the transit system. And that's going to be on our part because the airport obviously derives revenue from their parking. I don't think they're going to be advertising OC Transpo. So I think it's going to be up to us to market to folks. This is a great way to get to the airport and a great way to avoid, again, the high parking fees at the airport. So again, look forward to both the promotion of the lines and the advertising that's going to take place going forward. Thanks very much for the presentation today. Renee, I love how you involve all your staff here and we get right to the folks that are managing them, very detailed answers. And I think that's important to answer a lot of the questions that we have and residents have on the work that we're doing to improve the service overall. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your nice words. Very appreciate that.
Okay, Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Chair. And just want to echo some other members with lots going on right now at OC Transpo, and it's a lot to manage. And appreciate the various elements that were in the slide deck that you're managing at the moment. I wanted to pick up on Councillor DeRocha's questions and comments just about the successful launch of Line 2 and Line 4. One of the areas that we talked about was having some incentive to get members of residents of Ottawa back on buses, back on the trains. And we had talked about some financial incentives, certainly. And I know there's been good advertising that's gone out, including to Carleton, and Councillor DeRocha is right. There's lots of students taking that. And I know I've got good feedback from Carleton students on that line too. That being said, I think there's a lot of people that haven't been taking transit for several years now and maybe want to try it. And I know we were talking about some financial incentives, perhaps for a month at some point in the spring. I just want to know, is that on track, and where are we at with that one piece?
Thank you very much, Chair, for the question. So yes, we will come with something with new ways to bus. I think probably at next Transit Commission, I should be able to propose something. That will not be 1 month for sure, but we will definitely propose something. And if you remember, I said I want to be able to make certain that the reliability of those two lines is there before to welcome people. So now for sure, we still need to continue to improve the service, etc. But we can say now it's a good launch, and we'll welcome people for sure, and we'll do that with new ways to bus.
Okay, that's great to hear. Thanks, thank you so much for that. Just on the I guess reliability or frequency of line 1, we received that memo about the 10-minute headways versus the 5-minute headways, and I just want to come back to it because I think there's perhaps a timing issue that could help us with the launch of line 2 that happened later than fully expected. The service, as people remember, went from 5 to 10 in the off-peak periods, and ridership seemed to kind of go down as we change some of those headways, and I think there is a relationship with how often we run the train in those off-peak times and our total ridership, and so I think I guess I'm wondering. The frequency reduction seemed to show a reduction of some of the, obviously there was a reduction of lots of trips, hundreds of trips per hour. But how can we say that there's sufficient capacity to meet ridership demand when those service levels may have contributed to people not taking that line 1? And then secondarily, Chair, just are we going back and doing the study of ridership levels as line 2 has been launched to connect up with that line 1 to get back to those headways? I think initially we were talking about 3-minute headways, really fast, a frequent service, and now we're at that 10 minutes. So I'd like to get back to something better than that 10-minute because I think it'll drive more people to the train, and especially with that line 2 operating to connect up now with line 1.
Thank you, Chair, for the question. I think if you don't mind, maybe we should just wait to open the east side, and we should be able to resolve some potential issues that we have to deal with now, and we can come back and have this discussion if you don't mind, because I think there is room to improve the 10 minutes from now without increasing the finances, right? And so if you can give me a little bit of time, we can have this discussion, and I think that could be a very good news.
Yeah, and I'm fine to work with you, of course, all the time. I enjoy it, and I think when you say the east side, do you mean the for things from today and recently, the issues we've been having on the east train, or do you mean the full launch of like the next extension? What are you? Because I just want to make sure we're within a timeline of within a few months to see how that line 2. Because I assume we're looking at the data now, because it was I think the motion spoke to when line 2 was launched. With that line 1, and things got changed at council, and we were trying to go to 7 minutes. But just to say, I think there's new data now with that line 2 being launched in that connection with line 1. So do you mean in the next little while, like within a month or two, or do you mean like years away?
Okay, so just to make it clear, maybe I didn't understand you. So first, for line 2 and 4, the headway of 12 minutes that will stay until we can change the infrastructure. Okay, this is factual. There is nothing to do with that. That cannot be better than 12 minutes unless we change the infrastructure, and that will need money. For line 1, out of peak, where we are at 10, when we'll open the east, I have a potential opportunity, I would say, to review the 10 minutes headway out of peak to improve that. So this is where I need some time to be able to come back.
Okay, I understand what you're saying about timing and the length of time. I will just encourage in the meantime for our team, our staff, to look at the numbers with line 2 having been opened, because we were looking at the numbers when I think line 2 wasn't fully launched at the time, right? So line 2 hadn't launched, and we were looking at those line 1 numbers, and we had said, oh, we've noticed a drop off in ridership. To me, that correlates with when we stopped doing the 5-minute headways in the off peak. So we've lost some people, potentially some rides. And now that line 2 is running, I'll just encourage staff to go back to the original motion, to encourage more data collection in the interim, like even before the east opens, because I think that you'll see an increase in that line 1 ridership based on line 2 connecting with it now. So can I ask for that to occur as well? Like, Renee, I'm happy to work with you, of course, on the future of the east extension. But in the interim, I want to make sure staff are collecting data on the ridership levels of line 1 as line 2 has now been opened.
Yes. The answer is yes, Chair. And even if we sent the memo to answer to Chair Gower's motion, we continue to work on that, definitely. And if I'm not mistaken, the decrease that you're talking about, it was a planned ridership to take that decision. So when we took the decision to put the headway at 10 minutes, we said we anticipate the ridership to be at XX level. And so now we collected real data. But your question is great, because we will continue to collect those data and we will be able to come back, definitely. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that, Chair. That's helpful. Madame Amilcar, that's helpful too.
Thank you.
I do want just on a couple last questions here. The Route 55, this is a pretty local question, but it goes to the hospital. Route 55 has been an unreliable bus, and we've been getting messages back from residents really frustrated with it. And then OC Transpo sent me a message about, basically saying it has been unreliable, and we apologize that it has been this way, and that we were led to believe it would get better with the new ways to bus. So I don't know if Pat is there or others that can talk about how the new ways to bus will improve the service for this particular route. And obviously line 6 is also in my ward and other wards, and that's been a really weak response as well, comparatively. So I'm hoping both of those get better, and I'm wondering how that happens with new ways to bus.
Thank you, Chair. Matt, can you answer to that one, please?
Yeah, thanks. So Chair, Route 55 is currently a very long route that runs between Elm Vale in the East End and Westgate in the West End. With new ways to bus, Route 55 will be withdrawn, and the piece between Westgate and Leeds Station will be covered by a modified Route 85. and the piece between Lees and down Main Street will be covered by a modified Route 5. So there will be changes to Route 55. We hope that by having the main trunk being on the Route 85 line, there'll be sufficient resources to be able to make adjustments and improve reliability for customers on the trunk. But yes, the Route 55 will be withdrawn with New Waste to Bus, and the changes that will come, we're hoping, will improve overall reliability for those continuing to travel on the corridor. What we do see is that the majority of activity on Route 55 is west of Lees and not east. So a good number of customers that currently use Route 55 will be well accommodated by Route 85 and the amendment there.
That's helpful. And just to comment on Route 6, if you can, too.
So Route 6, Councillor, being Route 6 along Bank Street and general reliability issues?
Yeah, just we see it every time there's a presentation at Commission, unfortunately, that it's one of the ones that is not meeting its reliability figures. It's always that one. It's always and then the replacement buses for line 2. It's frequently on there. So I'm hoping, again, I don't know how New Ways of Bus can help, because I don't think that route's changing much at all. I think it's staying the exact same. So how will we see improvement on that route?
So the Bank Street corridor, as you know, is very, very congested, one of the most congested corridors in the city. That affects Route 6 in that there'll be cancellations when service is adjusted because of delays. So congestion plays a big part in the overall reliability of Route 6. We continue to work with our colleagues in traffic services, in transportation planning, to look at ways of expediting service along that corridor, and indeed across all corridors across the city. As you know, with the introduction of the Bank Street bus lane towards the end of last year, that was one of the measures that we've introduced as a means of expediting service on the 6, and we continue to look at ways of using transit priority measures. Now, of course, unfortunately, there's not a quick implementation to put transit priority measures in place, but we do remain committed to reviewing and getting them in as quickly as we possibly can.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really important route for a lot of the city, and that's fine along Bank Street. So thank you for those answers. Thanks, Madam Hamilcar. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Kavanagh.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for having it in advance. It gave time to look over it, and really appreciate it. Great success with lines 2 and 4. Lots of fun going out there, and look forward to more. It really did give a boost, and I was looking forward to that because people feel a bit beleaguered about the construction that's happening on stage 2 in the West End, as you know, and so it's good to show that there's results, that this is all leading to something. So very, very helpful. But most of my residents take the bus, and at this moment, and the number 11 has been problematic. You had it featured, and from what you have said, 6.4% of the time it's not on time. I must be hearing from every single person who has it within that 6.4%, because we get a lot of inquiries about it, sometimes standing at the bus stop with messages recorded that the bus didn't come. And of course, that's really problematic in this cold weather, so that the transit app was not accurate. I wrote to Pat Scrimger asking if some analysis can be done on this route. It's particularly problematic with the construction, as we know, and the detours. So I just want to know if that is progressing.
Yep. So Chair, thanks for the question, Councillor. Yes, we are definitely progressing on that work. That work was assigned to us a few weeks ago following your conversation with Pat. It's quite a detailed piece of work. The team having to break the corridor up into segments to really get a handle on what's going on. As you know, construction is a big issue, but we can't take it for granted that that's the only issue. So we are looking very closely at Route 11, and we hope to get back to you within the coming weeks with some feedback and so hopefully some mitigation measures.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. As a liaison, one of the liaisons on older adults, I'm looking at going forward how the change in fares is going to affect ridership among older adults and the use of Presto cards. I'm finding that a lot of seniors were using the free days, and I really, really appreciate that we brought them back, but they don't know how to use Presto cards. There's quite a few that need some instruction. I'm asking if there's outreach to seniors in particular about using the transit app, using a Presto card, for example, consideration of going into perhaps an OCH building to, for quick demos and things like that to help people, because there are gaps. I've gone there and shown them on my own phone. There's the transit app that'll show you, and then you don't have to wait outside for as long. And they didn't know about it. They're not in the loop. So it's a technology thing, and I just want to know if there's possible that we could devise some outreach specifically for older adults.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I still have Rawa here, and fortunately she has the answer for Councillor Carr as well. So maybe we can try to answer to Councillor Kavanagh's one too. Rawa, est-ce que tu peux répondre à celle-là?
Yes, hi. So as for outreach, I would have to again defer to sort of the customer service team to see if anything targeted has been done. I believe, did you want me to address Councillor Carr's former question about, I think it was different real-time predictions showing up on different channels? Yeah, so the transit information screens that are at the stations for bus arrivals are using a different source feed today than the transit app. So as you know, we are migrating, doing a transition over to GTFS real time. That is going to be the industry standard, best golden sort of level feed for all of this information. And we are, slowly and incrementally migrating each of our customer systems over to GTFS RT. Transit app is already there, as is our SMS. The TIS screens are next, and that will be coming, in the weeks and months to come. And then eventually the IVR and the travel planner and so on. So once those are unified and using the same feed, the same source of information, we expect those real-time arrivals to be more consistent. Not to get too technical, but there will always be minor differences because systems, ingest the feed and use it differently. They have different latencies, different refresh rates, and so on. So, but those shouldn't be considerable. I'd have to defer to Matt or possibly Bart about outreach for transit.
Well, maybe what I can propose, Chair, if you don't mind, Councillor Kavanagh, we have a customer support center. So we can take your question and we'll make sure to liaise with your office, and we'll definitely work with the people and provide you everything that you need to make it seamless for those people. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah, merci. I also suggest reaching out to the city staff that are working on an older adult plan, because we are working on strategies on issues for older adults. So we can connect with them. I'm happy to do that with my office. At the very beginning, you were talking the slides, there was customer injuries, and I wondered if a lot of them are older adults having trouble with balance, etc., as they get on buses, and if there's strategies and recommendations on how to prevent them.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. I don't have the demographic data in front of me, but I know in speaking with the team, just I'll say anecdotally for now, and then I'm happy to bring this back to you with some more details, that it's not exclusively older adults. So the top three were bus in motion, braking, and disembarking, and it has been, I'll say, traditionally quite a variety of different demographic. So I'm happy to bring that back. Apologies, I don't have that information with me today.
That's okay. It's just anecdotally, that's who I hear from. So
of course,
the bus driver didn't slow down as I got on the bus or something along that line. But if there's things that they can, say to the driver to give me a little more time, so that they can make those requests, something along that line. But
absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you. My other questions are about regarding your facilities. I appreciate seeing all the information on updates that you're doing. The main headquarters. I just want to confirm that Queensview, the Queensview Depot, is not receiving these updates as much because it should be going out of commission at some point. As you know from the secondary plan, the future plans for that site is to change over to have a possible recreation complex, because we do need a major one, so that it would be so the investment I appreciate is being made at the main headquarters. So if I can confirm that, please.
Chair, I assume that you talk about the Pinecrest garage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Rami, can you just maybe update us, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Part of we have these considerations as part of our plan. We are utilizing the Pinecrest garage as we need to have space for our buses, and it's a great space for indoor storage, which helps us during the winter. This is part of a 2-year plan to construct a new ZEB garage. I'm pointing at it here, just in Saint Laurent complex. Once this is completed, we would have, by end of this project, we would have retired 106 diesel buses, and so we can then reassess whether that garage is required to continue with the operation. There are a lot of unknowns right now, but we have not invested in life cycling the garage other than for minimum safety requirements.
Well, as you know, it has been earmarked in the secondary plan, and it is within less than 100 meters of the brand new Queensview transit station. So it's an ideal spot for other uses. It could be affordable housing, but a recreation complex has been earmarked for that. So I'm hoping with the changeover with electric that we will not need it so much for the anymore for the diesel. So I would like to be kept up to date on that. It's since we have done an overall planning on this, and this is attached. It's going to be attached to the overall official plan. So appreciate any updates you can give.
Will do, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it.
Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Chair. I got a fairly specific question. I'm concerned about the capacity on Route 75 connecting Barrhaven to Tunney's Pasture, especially look to funnel more people onto Fallowfield Station with the New Ways to Bus program. Could OC Transport please speak to the current capacity of that route and how that capacity will be affected when the routes are changed in April?
So, Chair, thanks for the question, Councillor Hill. Route 75 with New Ways to Bus will actually see an improvement in capacity in the morning. So in the busiest hour, capacity will actually increase due to improved headways, going from 10-minute headway that we currently see to a 7-8 minute headway. So we are confident that there'll be sufficient capacity on Route 75 passing through Fallowfield Station.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then my other comment on this is, obviously some of them have a terminal point at Marketplace and others have a terminal point at Cambrian. And there are concerns about the infrequency of the Cambrian stops off peak, especially in the evenings, which essentially causes folks in Half Moon Bay to have to walk about 5 kilometers. Is there going to be anything addressing additional stopping at Cambrian as well?
So unfortunately, I don't have the specific plan to hand for the 75, but I can certainly take that away and get back to you on what the timetable will look like for the Cambrian loop.
Okay, I appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, we're on round 2 questions. Councillor Carr, you're
Thanks.
back.
Hopefully I'll be quick because a lot of mine were asked by other people. I think first on a comment on presentation today on slide 21, there was a presentation on performance metrics, which I found very useful. I'm wondering in the future if when we talk about metrics such as conventional bus punctuality for less frequent routes, paratransport on-time performance, if we can actually define a little bit more what that actually means and how we define bus punctuality, how we define bus regularity. If we can just have maybe a slide before with some definitions, because I know we've heard it before, but sometimes I even have to thumb through my notes. So I think it would be really useful for the public to understand. Is that an okay comment?
Definitely, Chair, we'll do that. And yes, no
okay,
problems.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to, it was great to get that update on buses when they're coming in and what you've done to mitigate the fact that we won't have the e-buses on time, buying the diesel buses and all that. I guess I'm concerned about long-term mitigation if we can't get them in. Like, what are the plans? Will it be route cuts? Like, what are you doing to mitigate those risks if these short to midterm actions don't materialize?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's a problem. Realistically speaking, it's a problem. So that's why with our Nova buses that we have now, that the Nova buses are less they are more new, I would say. They are new. So we are trying to keep them as longer as possible. And we continue, as my colleague Daniel Villeneuve said, we will try to buy 40 to 50 diesel articulate buses instead of relying only on the electric buses. So those kind of initiatives, we're working on them. And unfortunately, we are not the only agency who is doing that. So everyone is doing the same thing. So we are struggling with the capacity. But we have that on our radar, definitely consider.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a note, I know, I think it was Troy that mentioned about, probably with respect to line 2, about discussions with the Ottawa Hospital. Then my colleague, Councillor Menard, asked about Route 55. I'm just wondering, in the context of discussions with the Ottawa Hospital, presumably you're having with line 2, if you're having discussions with the hospital overall about transit service, just because my ward's home to the Riverside Hospital, under construction, General Hospital, CHEO, the University of Ottawa Advanced Medical Research Centre is going up in record time. And I hear a lot from employees of the hospital, people that go to that campus, about transit. And I'm wondering, when you're having discussions with the Ottawa Hospital, if it includes broader discussions as well.
Yep.
So, Chair, Councillor, thanks for the question. So we work very closely with all the hospital campuses in Ottawa. They provide us with postcode data for their staff, for example. So we're able to map out exactly where the staff come from. We work with them very closely on shift times to make sure that the buses are there when the staff need them. And yeah, we continue to have those detailed and lengthy discussions with them.
Okay, thanks. I think it's a huge opportunity, especially there's a lot of construction going on these health sciences center in my area. We didn't get an update at all today on fare inspectors. I've seen the fare inspectors out. I know they're doing their jobs. I'm wondering if you've seen a flatlining of tickets being issued, but more people paying fares, if there's any update that can be provided.
Thank you for the question, Chair. So I can tell you, Councillor, that we're coming back in the month of March with a full report on the fare compliance program. But I can share with you today that no, we have not seen a flat line in the tickets. We've still seen a continuation of fare evasion increase, not increasing, but continuing. So we are pulling together all the statistics and bringing it back to this committee in the month of March, but we have not seen that been curbed just yet.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Just 2 more quick questions. We got some great updates on LRT statistics. Have we seen what level is bus service percentage as per pre-pandemic? If do you know what I mean? Sorry, I didn't ask that very well.
Yes, thank you, Chair. If I'm not mistaken, François and Madame, I think we were at 80%, more than 80% on the bus side pre-pandemic. It's the train that is a little bit behind. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's correct. Sorry, apologies, but yes, just to say that is correct. We're just over 80% on the bus side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. You know, I know a lot of people concerned about the headways, but for me, it's the bus service in my neighborhood that we need to make investments in. That's where I'm really hearing a lot of feedback, just in general. And last question, just really quickly. You know, I go to Blues Fest all the time. Use the bus every night. TD Place is close. I hop the bus with my ticket. Are there other organizations like Ottawa Tourism or Canadian Tire Centre or other festivals like Nostalgia Music Festival where you're looking to develop partnerships where the price of the ticket can be price of the transit can be built in?
Sure, this is a good question, and I know that with line 4, Bart, correct me if I'm wrong, we had something. It's not necessarily similar as you just said, Councillor, but we have started to see those kind of initiatives. Bart, can you maybe expand on that one, please?
Certainly, Renee. Chair, what Renee is referring to is we were contacted by the organizers of the home show at the EY Center to say that they were excited in partnering with us at no cost to the city to offer free admission to any attendants who were interested in taking public transit to get to the EY Center in order to attend the show. So for them, it was a really simple way to boost attendance. We were happy to agree, and there was little to no effort required on our part and no cost to us. So we love partnerships like that. But to the larger question, absolutely, we do engage with festivals. We are contacted often by festival organizers looking to partner. Generally speaking, our preference is that where there's a partnership, that some of the cost of the tickets is covered, as it is with Blues Fest. So Blues Fest pays the ticket to ride cost, but we're always open to having discussions, and certainly we do talk to organizers of events at the CTC. We're always interested in talking to anyone who's planning a major event, and we're also engaged through the SEAT process, which is the major event process. So we have opportunities to speak directly to event organizers in the city. But yes, if you know of anybody who is interested in partnering with OC Transpo to help bring people to their events, we are more than happy to talk to them.
Yeah, that's great.
Chair, yeah, and we just had an agreement with Igloo Festive, so I just wanted to share that with you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. I really do see the opportunity with line, EY Center, line 4. Great to hear the updates on all that. I know Councillor or Vice Chair DeRoche came to meet me in my ward for lunch this week. It took that train to see me, and we met right by Walkley Station. So thank you very much for all your information today. Much appreciated.
Okay, Councillor Tierney.
Great, thank you. One thing, forgive me, and I'm just asking about the platform security, just because I wasn't sure if it was part of the presentation. Apologies if I missed it. My flight has just been delayed by an hour, so here we go. I'll have plenty of time to hang out. The announcement by the province to give more money for special constables and that, how is that proceeding? Specifically at the terminus stations. I know our Ottawa Police Service, I've been on the platform a couple of times with them and some special constables. So in Councillor Leeper's ward and my ward, the terminus stations seem to have a lot of activity. We saw the numbers come out that mine is like almost right behind Rideau as far as issues, which is concerning. How are we rolling that out with special constables, and how soon can we see more special constables at those stations of concern?
Thank you, Chair. Sabrina is in charge of this department. Sabrina, please.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the question, Chair and Councillor. I can tell you that the money that was provided to us from the province as part of the new Ottawa deal is currently well underway. There's a project timeline and tasking that's currently being undertaken by the team. There's various different avenues in which that funding is going to be used, including like marketing and communications with my colleague, and of course dedicated to the special constable unit. So right now the recruitment is well underway. So we're in a recruitment phase right now in order to staff up the positions that funding will be funding. I'm happy to bring back an update, maybe April, May, or June, Renee, whatever you think is most appropriate. But at this point, we're just really getting into the thick of it. It's done based on the fiscal year of the province. So we have until the end of March to do the first round of the activities that we've committed to. So the focus right now is absolutely on hiring those additional resources into the special constable unit. And of course, the resources that we have currently in place are deployed strategically in response to any incidents that happen, not only along the line, but across the entire transit network.
Yeah, no, Sabrina, great news. I love the pressure of the timeline too, of having to get that tranche done by the end of March. I think that's good news if we're being forced to move that quick. And I hope to see the numbers come down at Blair. That was kind of shocking, I think, for a lot of us. But thank you for the hard work on that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Stay with us, Councillor Tierney. I think we're just going to, for the clerk's office, for formality, the direction you gave earlier about the bus count, the electric bus count. Eric, thank you. Okay, we're going to bring it up on the screen. Just want to make sure formally that staff are okay with this direction that's on the screen. I think it reflects Councillor Tierney's intent. Bart?
Chair, we have no trouble meeting that timeline, and I've spoken to the team, and we have already a few ideas on how we can make this happen very transparently.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Bart and team. Most appreciated.
Okay, thank you. You've got halo over top of your head, Tim. Look at that. Okay, Councillor Brockington.
Thanks, Chair. Just one question, just to piggyback on what I think I heard Councillor Carr ask, and that is, last term of council, I asked staff about opportunities to bundle OC Transpo tickets with other transportation companies, and the examples I gave was if a passenger on Via Rail is coming to Ottawa, when they buy their Via Rail ticket, there'll be an option on the Via Rail screen. Would you like to purchase a OC Transpo LRT ticket or bus ticket? We served Tremblay Station. Now we have connection at the airport. We heard Councillor DeRoche raise the fact that we need to really push promotions and awareness. The signage at the airport is very small, easy to miss where the actual location is. But if you buy an airline ticket, you're coming to Ottawa, opportunity to bundle your ticket with an OC Transpo bus or rail ticket as well. So I appreciate Mr. Cormier's send people to him if we know any partners, but what is OC Transpo doing to proactively, aggressively go out to these types of companies to bundle tickets? I don't think we do it. There are, of course, the sports teams or concert bundling, which is very good. I think there are many, many other opportunities to increase the frequency of this. So Madame Amical, you said it was a good idea last term. Have we made any progress on working with some of the major transportation companies that serve Ottawa and bundling tickets with an OC Transpo ticket?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. Yes, it's still a very good idea, Councillor. I personally met Amazon and Councillor Hill was with me, and unfortunately, we haven't succeeded on that. My team met the airport as well. I think it was late 2022, no, in 2023, and they don't want either to have this kind of strategy in place. And I met personally the CEO of VRL, Mr. Peloquin, and we are still working together. That will be a long shot, but definitely, if you can help me on that one, that will be fantastic. But we still, I still have hope that VRL can be a partner, and that could be, we can learn somewhere. But we won't give up. We will continue to try to find this kind of initiatives. And I don't know, Bart, if your team has other things to.
I can say that this is being led by Pat Scrimger's team, but we're certainly involved. To the question behind the question, Councillor, or Chair, through you to the Councillor, I can say that we are being proactive in seeking out, major employers like Amazon, and in speaking with our transportation colleagues. This is definitely something that we agree is important and that we would love to achieve. We are sometimes the smaller partner in these discussions, and so we're offering opportunities and we're hoping to partner. But it does need the other side to be interested in working with us. And sometimes that requires changes to their systems that are, not something that they find feasible. I think we would love to see a greater integration of our transportation networks together. I think that's part of the reason why the system looks the way that it does in terms of the locations that it serves. But I don't think we're quite there yet, but we are continuing to work on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm seeing no more questions, so I think we're at the conclusion of that item. Thank you again to Renee and the entire team for the updates and for answering our questions. So moving on through the agenda, are there any notices of motion? No. Are there any inquiries? No. And there's no other business. So we are adjourned with our next meeting scheduled for Monday, March 17th. And to Renee and the team, good luck with the afternoon commute today. And thanks to everyone working, operators behind the scenes, all the different personnel who keep our system moving through big storms like this one. It's greatly appreciated. And we hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
And thank you to the clerk's office for your assistance in letting us join virtually today. Much appreciated. Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Merci. Thank you. Bye.